welcome you to our press conference. We are, how many days? 5 days, 6 days?
6 days away.
6 days away from the day which everybody has been hoping for the past 5 years. The election day for the Zimbabwe harmonized elections. We have been, as a party, preparing for this day since the Second Republic came into being in 2017. Our president, a pioneer cadre of the Zimbabwean cadre training in Egypt and China in the 60s, he is finally at the seat of apex power as the president of Zimbabwe. We want to thank good fortune, which has made him survive. He's the only survivor. We also want to thank his many comrades who became part of, from a few individuals who became part of the Mammoth Army, which was Zanu and Zipra, which would win, which would reverse the military defeat of the 1890s, give rise to modern African military prowess, and by 1979 brings the Resist Rhodesian Army to its knees, forcing it to negotiate an armistice in London, which our president was involved in as a negotiator, and which set the democratic stage for the 1980 elections, where we came to power ballot to office as opposed to ballot office. So we fought for people of Zimbabwe to exercise their democratic right. Even when we had the superiority of the guns, we said, no, let the people vote, because it creates the basis of legitimacy, popular legitimacy. That's why Zanu PF has been particularly faithful to the democratic traditions of Zimbabwe. They are homegrown. They rely on the defense of the state machinery, which displaced the colonial machinery, but in its role defending the people of Zimbabwe to choose whom they want to be their leader. And we have kept faith with our people, holding periodic elections to this day. And next week, Thursday, is the Festival of Democracy in Zimbabwe. All over the country, 6 million voters out of our 16 million population go to the votes. These are the ones on the registered roll of Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. They will be exercising their vote at each and every polling station in the country. This is a good thing. This is Zimbabweans showing to the world that democracy is a good thing, that we have as much right to it as any other population, another group, another nation on earth. And definitely, whilst we may bow to others who may have got democracy earlier than us, we are no lesser students and admirers of democracy than them. And definitely, whilst we are willing to learn, we are not willing to be hectored about democracy. We are willing to learn from others, because we always want to make sure that our democratic credentials get better, so that our people can enjoy better governance. This is the purpose of our democracy, better governance to our people, not placating or satisfying foreign powers, especially those with a record of slavery, partition, and colonial subjugation of Africa. They can't teach us about democracy, because when they were in charge of Africa by conquest, they never gave Africans that democratic right. We won it as a fight, more so in Southern Africa, particularly so in Zimbabwe. So we brook no hectoring from no one, whilst we appreciate any lessons which are in goodwill from others. This is the reason why our president has gone out of his way to invite all observers from everywhere. There's hardly a country which is everybody has been allowed to come. We have nothing to hide. This is kudos to our president that we are prepared to let observers come and see Zimbabweans exercise their democratic right in a festival of voting in Zimbabwe. Yesterday, there were delegations from the African Union, there were delegations from SADC, and I'm told that they've just had a meeting with our Secretary General today. We are very happy, particularly when our African brothers come to see what Zimbabwe is doing. We try as much as possible to stick to the AU and SADC principles on democracy, and we always listen attentively and even defer to whatever they may recommend. Having said that, they are here in person, they've got their spokespersons, they don't need surrogates to represent their views. They represent themselves about the Zimbabwe elections. So we hear of certain organizations which want to purvey a triple C position, and then they want to direct African and SADC observer missions to what they should be doing. This is very presumptuous of those NGO organizations. They are not substitute for the African Union observers who are here. They definitely are not substitute for the SADC mission, which is here. And when those organizations have got certain views, they have got an open door to Zanu PF and to the Zimbabwe government. They do not need certain surrogate organizations, even if they are made by former prime ministers of other African countries. You are not a prime minister anymore. And being a prime minister, one would think your protocol would allow you to go and consult those institutions of the African Union in confidence and air your views about what is and what should be, rather than become a megaphone, a mouthpiece of an opposition which is increasingly scared at the prospect of stark defeat come Thursday next week. I am a good African diplomat. I'm not going to speak names, particularly when they concern former heads of states. But I think we would want all well-meaning NGOs not to substitute themselves for properly constituted African bodies like the Africa and the SADC, and definitely not to try to give them instructions, because they have got their own ability to see what is happening on the ground. We are happy that the EU is on the ground. It is going all over the country. They have had difficulties with Zimbabwe in the past, but in the spirit of engagement and re-engagement, there is a new appreciation of each other between Harare and Brussels. We are also happy and are prepared to learn on how we can improve on our democratic ethos from their observations, from their observer status. We obviously would not take anything which looks like being monitored by them, because the decision of elections in Zimbabwe is a sovereign will of the Zimbabwe people. It's not a gift from the EU or from any of the former post-imperial powers. It is ours by right of reconquest. In 1979, we won our freedom. So it's our right. So we don't want them to feel that they are monitoring. And they've equally said the same, that they are not here to monitor. So let's hope that message gets to the CCC, that having a presence of these institutions is not a ticket for them to impinge or to ask them to impinge on the sovereign status of Zimbabwe. Independence was won in 1980, once and for all. We are not subalterns to other foreign governments, be they from Europe or from the West. We are Zimbabweans in our own right. So we are happy with the many observers who are coming from all over the world, but I wanted to mention specifically our appreciation of the EU, particularly on their newfound efforts at genuinely trying to engage Zimbabwe in goodwill so that we can create foundations for intensified rapprochement between Zimbabwe and Brussels. This will make it easy, this will be easier for them because one of the former members, which had a contentious history with Zimbabwe, decided to exit the EU. So their decisions are not clouded by colonial inclinations, which tended to emanate from another capital, which of an erstwhile member of the EU. Again, out of diplomatic etiquette, I am not going to be mentioning countries, but I hope everybody is clear as to whom we are referring to. The road of democracy is a difficult one for any country. One could not imagine that a former American president is being arraigned for issues to do with election denial. But it is happening before our eyes. And there are accusations and counter-accusations in America. We respect their democratic processes. We hope that the challenges which Washington is facing with the trials and tribulations of its democracy can also make Washington better appreciate challenges which other countries may face as they travel on the route to democracy. It's not a golden highway for every country. It's not a golden highway. You are found to have challenges along the way, and maybe what is happening in Washington can be sobering, so that sanctimonious aspect about America proselytizing, sorry I use a big word, teaching other countries about democracy, can now be constrained because things are happening in their body politic, which they tended to accuse other countries of: electoral denial, persecution of what appears to be what the other former president see as being electoral persecution, and judiciary engaging in what the other party sees as gerrymandering of an electoral process before the Iowa primaries choose who becomes the Republican and who becomes the Democratic candidate. These are challenges. I hope it's sobering enough, because we have had a lot of hectoring, a lot of punishment, particularly from Washington. We are the most sanctioned country after Cuba by America on the basis of human rights, purported abridgments on the basis of deficit of democracy, which actually becomes part of their congressional law and it's part of the Shadaya Act. That said, we are also happy with America that they've since come to Zanu PF office, and they saw me personally and said they are going to be neutral come 2023 and the Zimbabwe elections. It's a strong message which we take it with particular goodwill. We want that the gladness with which Zanu PF received that message also becomes a sobering reminder to the CCC that they have no sacred friends in the West anymore, that they need to introspect and become Zimbabwean, so that together we build goodwill towards each other, so that we can work our democracy, work through consultation, through unfettered voting, and through genuine complaints which can be addressed through the state institutions of Zimbabwe, rather than through denunciation and undermining of the state institutions of Zimbabwe. I say this with a heavy heart as Zanu PF, because they seem now to be a reckless, if very, very egregious assault on the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission from the CCC opposition. This Electoral Commission is part of the constitutional bodies emanating from the 2013 Constitution, of which the precursor to the CCC, the MDC, under Morgan Tsvangirai, was a fully fledged participant. And we had a referendum with the two parties appealing to the people of Zimbabwe to endorse that constitution. And it was passed overwhelmingly to the delight of all Zimbabweans. Now, to have CCC shedding off the skin like a snake of the MDC of Morgan Tsvangirai and trying now to find fault with that constitution, and then launching an unrestrained assault on the institutions emanating from that constitutional dispensation. It's wrong, it's irresponsible on the part of the CCC. ZEC is trying to do its best under the constitutional mandate of Zimbabwe. Let them try to do a good job. They are being taken to court over a voter register. There's no way in the constitution where this thing should become a cause for accusation for ZEC. Everybody here has got a cell phone number. Before the cell phone numbers, we all used to have telephone directories to look at who we wanted to phone to. But nobody here wants a telephone directory from Econet. Nobody here wants a telephone directory from Telecel. Nobody here wants a telephone directory from Net1 to make a phone call. This is the march of technology. But we are being told there's a national voter register which we want. This is the digital age. How do you justify that request when even for commercial reasons, mobile phone companies which have even bigger data of 16, there are more phones in Zimbabwe, cell phones in Zimbabwe than there are people. They are not putting a register, a telephone directory. Why does the ZEC trundle ZEC all the way to the courts about a national voter register when a simple hash code and your phone number can tell you whether you're on the voters roll or you're not? And they speak of thousands who may be disenfranchised. Where are the thousands? Why are the thousands not speaking? Why is the CCC speaking? Not the thousands themselves. Because definitely by this time, ZEC offices would have been inundated with people who say we are not on the register, if it was true. Now, this constant attempt at fault finding so that we delegitimize our institutions is not right for democracy. We appeal to the CCC to act in a responsible manner so that they do respect the state institutions of Zimbabwe. All of you, including the MCCC, you sleep well in peace at night. You walk the streets of Zimbabwe without fear of your rights being abridged. Law and order prevails in Zimbabwe, one of the most peaceable countries in Africa, especially considering that 40 years ago everybody had a gun in this country. We are at peace. Who is ensuring that peace? Another state institution of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, ZRP, the Zimbabwe Republic Police. They are doing a job. They are doing a good job. That's why all the CCC people are not being molested. They are not being victims of violence in the streets like other countries elsewhere, including America. This is the sterling work of Zimbabwe Republic Police. Come elections, you single them out. You now want to attack the ZRP left, right, and center. Look, we can't do PR for CCC as Zanu PF because we are rivals. But the other day, I said to Mahere when we were appearing at the Chatham House on a debate about Zimbabwe institutions, don't go into foreign nations and start attacking your own institutions on groundless accusations. It's not right, because those institutions are exactly what you will need to protect you when lawless comes and takes over this country. You need those institutions. So the PR for the CCC would be about reaching out to the Republic Police, Zimbabwe Republic Police, establishing a rapport, finding common ground, so that if there are any grievances, I know we don't know what is going on between them and CCC. I'm sure, being good Zimbabweans, they should be able to find each other. One, a private political party which aspires to be voted for, and the other, a properly constituted institution of Zimbabwe. There should be basis for understanding, but no, CCC does not want that. It wants to attack willy-nilly ZRP. They try to say, don't have elections in the dark because this may create law and order issues. No, they delay the times given until it is towards dark, so that they can be in confrontation with CCC. Now, you all know that the major problem of CCC is they committed, in Japanese they call it seppuku or something like that, or harakiri. They committed disembowelment of themselves from an organizational point of view. One, constant infighting, which features the party. It is not conducive to organization within a party. Two, they have no history of organization like Zanu PF or the former whites who used to rule this country, because they were not involved in nation destruction as the whites were involved in, or in nation building as Zanu PF was, as Zipra and Zanla. So they have no ethos of organization. They got an inkling of it from the ZCTU. But remember, the ZCTU was organized by Zanu PF after independence. Trade unions were not legal before independence. But now they have divorced themselves from the ZCTU. Those who were in charge of the ZCTU, they've all been chased out of the party. Again, you are disemboweling yourselves because the organization is institutional. Now you are so disorganized as a party. Come registration day for electoral votes, you have to be extended until midnight to accommodate your tardiness in even payment. Maybe you are also broke. Then you have double registers because Zanu PF had primary elections to try to settle issues about internal candidature, contestation, well ahead of the elections, so that if there are outstanding grievances, they can be sorted out well before the elections. So by the time we go to the elections, we are streamlined. We know who is a candidate and who is not a candidate. And the systems are in place to make sure. In CCC, you leave that to the last minute because you want to chase out rival candidates through ZEC, because you want to say, if I put my person whom I want, I'm the approved person. By the time he appeals against the injustice, they would have closed the offices. Now, this is disembowelment by the ACCC organization. And the disorganizations, this runs through and through CCC. It runs through and through. And the worst thing which happened to them is the white population, which has a history of organization because they used to run this country. They are so happy with the President Mnangagwa as president because he's reviving the economy. A lot of them were Mawenwes when we were. They were called when we were in South Africa, Wenwes. They're all coming back. You see the massive reconstruction in suburbs, northern suburbs, where there are title deeds. The white population is coming back. That's good for the country. These are Zimbabweans. We are not a racist country. But if they come, they are not going to lend their support of organization to the CCC because they are happy with the president. So another aspect of organizational capacity, institutional organizational capacity on the CCC has been yanked away by the fact that the white population is not part of the CCC anymore. So what do we have? Former student activists increasingly restricted a coterie around Shamisa and his immediate friends, Ostalos and Mahere. They are now the ones who have become what was once the respected MDC part of Morgan Tsvangirai. And because of this aspect of disorganization, they've disemboweled themselves. They are now much more interested in challenging the electoral process in Zimbabwe than in campaigning. We all know in Shona, Mumbai, fully Ripa market. If you were not organizing your people to vote for you for the past 5 years, don't expect miracles on voting day on next Thursday. So because you realize that there will be no miracles, you are now challenging the referee. The other team was busy preparing for the match. You were not preparing for the match. You were busy fighting at each other, making accusations and counter accusations. You are not ready. So rather than say to the crowd, I'm not ready, you now start pinpointing at the referee, ZEC, the judiciary, hey, ZRP, hey, this and that. No, it's your fault. They should accept that they are disorganized, they can't marshal votes, they never went to look for those votes. They gave every excuse to say we are campaigning in the midnight when it is not true. They were not campaigning. I come from Mondoro where I'm becoming a senator. The CCC tried to organize a rally at Mbaira last week. There were 400 people. They had a truck moving around, a 30-ton truck, trying to carry the people to their rally. There were only 2 people in that 30-ton truck. This is not only about lack of support, it shows that you do not have the organizational roots which could make you possibly a winning party, let alone a governing party. And the electorate is going to judge them accordingly. You have a sordid record in urban areas. Zanu PF is offering title deeds. It's now coming using extraordinary powers to clean up garbage, to make roads, which they've been making all over the country in urban areas. So your vote in the urban areas, which used to be a discontent vote, is going to dwindle. We expect even a bigger margin for the presidential vote, because the urban vote has shifted to join what is our traditional bastion in rural areas, which is seeing a lot of change of lives by Pfumvudza and other measures and other development steps being taken by the ruling party. So there's a reward for honest work done by Zanu PF in the past 5 years. That's why we are not producing a manifesto. We would rather our work speaks for itself. If you doubt, go and take a plane and go to Johannesburg and see a spanking new airport. If in doubt, switch on the lights and you realize that Wange 7 and 8 are on. There's no more road shading. Kariba South is on. In 5 years, 1,000 megawatts added to the grid. We no longer have load shedding. If in doubt, go to the recovery efforts in Manicaland after Cyclone Idai. These are the issues which our president will be selling to the public, and that's what he's selling, and that's what he has been selling, and he has had well-attended 9 rallies in all the major provinces of this country. What's left is only one, the Midlands, and you saw the attendance. People complain that people are being given buses. But this is the age of the automobile. It's the age of the car engine. If you want to travel distances, everybody knows the way to kill time by traveling distances to use a car or a bus. Now you make an issue kuti vanhu vakwigdzirwe mubus. Hapana force kwakwira mubus. Vanhu vakwira vega. No police force station has reported people being compelled to go and board Zanu PF buses. People go because they are happy to go there. But you make an issue out of it. You make an issue about other state institutions. Okay. What about private institutions which have been given licenses in broadcasting by the government of President E.D. Mnangagwa? If you are not happy with coverage by ZBC, why don't you go to NR TV? Go and pay money. Why don't you go to Daily News? Go and pay money there. And be a broadcast, because there are about 7 or 8 other broadcast stations now available, 6 I think. And there are commercial radio stations available. Why are you trying to make an issue about one particular state institution, which is an obligation to tell the people about Zimbabwe what is the progress being made? Chamisa is never seen with a businessman in any of his rallies. Never seen with a businessman receiving a business delegation at the airport. Never been at a factory cutting a ribbon of a new factory opened by Mayor Mafume as they run urban towns. Never. He has never been done that. Now you want ZBC to come and cover you. What are you doing in terms of solid progress projects for this country to justify you following Chamisa? Simply to hear him say, God is in it, God is in it, God is in it. God does not come and manifest himself unless through works of human beings. That's how God manifests himself. And the MDC, CCC, has not done any works of good things to make God manifest himself in it. So God is in it is not a substitute for hard work done. But you expect to be covered. Why do you cover you for? Kungotaurirwa ngani nekutukidzira vanhu imwe part. Is that what the country is all about? So this accusation against the broadcasting community of Zimbabwe, it's not right, because the government has given other alternative channels, and you have no, as your party, you have no agenda, no program to cover. If you want, we can cover you failing to clean streets of garbage, of potholes, of closed factories, which are a hallmark of CCC. Those are the things which they want us to cover. Kasukuwere television, when the lithium mines are being opened, when the steel plant starts producing pig iron in 1 December this year. That's a major milestone. ZBC will cover that, ZTV will cover that, and other stations will cover that, because it changes people's lives in Zimbabwe and Africa and on the global market. But CCC, they want to appeal to be covered. Chamaita chi to deserve coverage. Happen. Because you just want to appear on television on election day. Mumbai fully ripa market. You get an opportunity of 2 decades to show what you can do with towns, because there are local administrations where you were in charge as town fathers. You did nothing to show that you are responsible for running towns. There are cesspits of decay, and you want that covered as if for the elections. Please forgive and then if you are not covered, you run to the election observers. We are not being covered. But you are not being covered because there's nothing about you to cover. And nothing positive. So we have been at pains as Zanu PF to say the sanctity of the institutions of Zimbabwe needs to be respected. Those which are private and those which are public. Because on the morrow of the elections, you will still need ZRP to be there to protect you as a citizen of Zimbabwe. So let's respect that institution. So this has been the main thrust of our presentation, to say we are appealing and we are saying to the observers, don't become a complaints bureau of a failed CCC. The observers are not substitute for the Zimbabwean electorate. So the observers must know that some people have an axe to grind because they are fearing electoral defeat on the 23rd when they come to them. They should look at where they have their meetings and see the attendance and realize that they have no support. We want to hail our president. He has worked hard. He is working like this election is the first and the last of his lifetime. He is putting every effort to it. He has put his energy, he has put his time. He has gone to every institution, he has gone to every gathering, he has gone to churches, he has gone to everywhere. Because a vote is a vote regardless of where it is. And because he has got a mammoth party, Zanu PF, behind him, he has got the institutional organizational capacity at his disposal to go out and reach out for that particular vote. Reach out for that particular vote. That's what Zanu PF has been doing. We are taking every vote serious and it's polling station based. So Zanu PF has been working hard. We want to hail the president. We want to hail the Zanu PF electoral machinery. And we want to also give praise to our state institutions for keeping law and order as it is. We condemn the death of the young men in Glenview. We are happy, we are relieved and happy that the police have found the culprits. A criminal who breaks law and order does not belong to a party. He's a criminal. And the police are treating those people who are responsible as that. So you have no reason to make it appear to foreign observers that here at Zanu PF headquarters, we are in night conspiracies telling us as to who should be the next victim of violence. We don't do that. We are too busy trying to win the vote to be bothered about instigating violence. In fact, as the ruling party of governance, the government, we have every obligation to be seen to be clean about this election. And I also want to make another point clear. Because of ostracism and pariah status, our police had lagged in training methods in 2018 when a peaceful election turned into a violent closure post-election. And the jaded young policeman had to call in the army because there was no other buffer between him and a threatening crowd. This time, we have dedicated the resources and we want to thank the engagement and re-engagement. We have also properly prepared the police, giving them the necessary resources. So those who are violent seekers, don't say we were not warned. ZRP is ready this time. And we have an electoral court for instant current justice about infractions of electoral regulations and procedures. We appeal to the CCC to quickly make recourse to the electoral court if there are issues. That is the way we test our institutions. Those are stress tests of our institutions. I don't say they are perfect, but they need to be stress tested. Don't denigrate them, use them. But if you are now going to use them as a substitute that they should make you a winner when you have not been doing your job properly, no, that is not their job. ZRPC, ZEC, Judiciary, ZTV, they don't vote. There are very few bureaucrats there. They will not make a change out of the 6 million voters. So going for them, even if you were to convert them to your cause, they will not make you win. Intimidating them will also not make you win because they are only there to ensure a fair election. And by the way, the Herald, under the auspices of Associated News of Zimbabwe, it's a trust, it's not a government institution. It's actually a stock exchange company. It has shareholders to whom it is accountable for. So don't start attacking private enterprise or commercial enterprise when perhaps you can't afford to pay. You can't afford to pay because the people who used to pay, give you money in America, they've cut their funding, which is another aspect, the second leg of the failure of the CCC. Havana mari, because benefactors have abandoned them. My Americans are ready to go under rules as a government. They calculate their risk properly and they assess the probability of success by your party. And if they find that there is a probability of success, being good businessmen, capitalists, they reduce their risk by not funding. So those people who used to be generously funding the CCC, so they have no money. And you saw it by the way they were failing to register. You saw it by the way. And then they start complaining. Yes, Zanu PF, we have funds. We have young people who are digging gold. They're making $3 billion digging gold a year. Former SMEs. If they decide to support the party which has made them become rich or is making them rich, if the tobacco farmers in Magunje decide, if the sugarcane farmers in Triangle, if the macadamia farmers in Chipinge decide to support a party which has made them rich, it's not, you can't be faulted for that. It happens in America, it happens everywhere. People support a party which makes their future look bright by making them rich. And that's what the president has been doing. He said, "Itai ni Zanu PF. Imi amuna chamungoida mungo promisa zvisipo nezvakadi. You have nothing to offer. Your cities are decaying." So, look, we cannot also fund the CCC. We don't fund our opposition. Support. We are happy with the support which we are getting from Zanu PF supporters who are doing well because the economy is pumping, because the currency has been stabilized, because more gold is being produced, more tobacco is being produced. There is a general feel-good factor about Zimbabwe in the land today. There is a general feel-good factor, and it owes to President Mnangagwa and his policies. So he's riding on the feel-good factor which he has created. And he's saying, I want to create even more conditions for you to do well so you can feel even best. Don't just feel good, but feel best. This is the manifesto of Zanu PF. Feel best by good deeds which you are doing on the ground across all fields of work, play, and entertainment by Zimbabweans. That's what we are doing. I said the election is, that's very important. Nasi is lost. The election is on Wednesday. So come Wednesday. Chachaya. Vada mombe dzinoda kunofutira pamarket. Ichaonekwa yakaonda pamarket. And the auctioneer will not buy. He will not make money on Wednesday. And the party which has not been doing its job, that's why it is directing its effort at accusations about the integrity of the voting system as opposed to the appeal to the voter. Because the integrity does not go and vote inside the booth. It is the individual voter who goes inside. Hands up your chicken. I mean, you want that voter to respect you. When you are saying that agapiwa chicken on a rally when there is attending agakwira bus, which is the natural means of transport. Kutaita aswage nyota nekupiwa mvura yabva ku Pepsi Varun. Pasina matsime parari pakawandwa pane 200 wote hanzi izo watengwa. You are not even respecting that person. Then you want him to vote for you come Wednesday next week. Start by respecting the vote. But in Zimbabwe, they sacrifice their life to get independence. They will not be bought by a chicken from chicken slice, let alone by a bottle of water from Varun beverages. Avatengeki. And we take them seriously, Zanu PF. That's why we appeal to them. In a humble manner and disrespect their integrity, their sense of dignity. Don't make people of Zimbabwe because we want to please the Americans. My elections, Maruza. Most of them are tengwa. Never take a American billionaire. Akazara munomango waka wapaka marirese wakatenga wakavatenga. Why can't America do that with all their billions and their billionaires? If they were people, our people are for sale. You see that lack of respect for the dignity and integrity of the population of the people of Zimbabwe. It's what makes the CCC fail before they've even started the race. Before the starter has fired the gun, they have lost. Why? Because they have no respect for the elector, for the voter. Anza anotengwa ne chicken. Here anza akwira bus. Saka achafungi. Robot. Rinopinda booth. One. He goes into the booth alone to make a decision. And you tell me that the booth is inside the booth when he's making that decision, his mind in the age of chat box, artificial intelligence, his mind has been programmed to make sure that he votes Zanu PF. Please. We haven't reached that age of software engineering at Zanu PF to go and tell people to vote in a certain manner through artificial intelligence programmed into a brain in a booth. No, we work on the convictions and aspirations of the people. That's what we have worked on, and we have done our job well, and we expect to be accordingly rewarded come next Wednesday. I can't say the same for the other party. We are working hard. That's why we are working so hard as a party, because we are expecting election results to come from the people. So we take them seriously. What we cannot accept us to give, try to make us give us in a culture of losing.
You accept defeat?
We accept the outcome of the people of Zimbabwe, which will be a victory for Zanu PF in the elections. Because only the people of Zimbabwe decide, and what they decide is what we will follow. And what we will follow is the endorsement of Zanu PF coming the elections, because we have worked hard for it. That's why it's a democracy. We have no problem about the outcome of an election. People, we had a vote in 2080, in 1979. There was no voters' roll. Takabva musango tikangowina election manyembe. Pasina voters' roll in 1979. Chaakugwabvura vamwe ava nhasi kuti hanzi hapana voters' roll tinoruza. Isi takatombopinda muelection yekuwina nyika muna 2079. Chii zvakare kungotsvaga tusamurisa twekuda kuti zvinzi election yemuzimbabwe haisi right. Kutsvaga mhosva, kutsvaga tunyanya tusina nebasa rese. Mombe haifurire pamusika wekutengeswa. Havana kuita basa ravo, asi ngavarege kunongedzera ZEC, ngavarege kunongedzera mapurisa, ngavarege kunongedzera macourts, ngavarege kunongedzera newspaper egovernment kana ehurumende, kuti hanzi dai vachichayamisa kuita inonzi slag yaunochayamisa tebhuru kuti urambe uchiwina paslag bhora richitiruta richiteedza slope richiteedza kutsvedza kweslag. Ndo zvavari kuda. Isi toda tebhuru yakati sandarara, ndo zvairi. Endai munotamba patafura yakati sandarara slag yenyu. Awina arusa. Ndo zvatinotaura isusu vekuzanu PF. Avada kuti hanzi tirutai tebhuru, tipei ground. Tichasenzesa America, tichasenzesa South NGOs kuti vaite tilt tafura yeslag. Hatibvumi izvozvo. Never criticized the court for adjudicating on that issue. That's why we lived with the decision. Hatina kumbotuka court kuti makatambirire nyaya yakasukuwere, because we respect the judiciary, we respect their integrity, we respect the separation of powers between the judiciary, the executive, and parliament. So musade kutipomera mhosva dzatisina. Hatina kana musi mumwe chete watakatukidzira ZEC kana majaji kana mapurisa, because nenzira tinovakudza nebasa ravo ravanoita pabumbiro remutemo wemuzimbabwe. Saka zvekuti pana akaendako ikodzero yake, kana aenda ikoko ivo vane kodzero yekutonga sekuona kwavo. Hatina patinombovazwa vati itai basa redu zvinoita kuti zvifadze Zanu PF, because vari independent. Look at the success which is there. SMEs now Korokosas. They are trading nearly $3 billion of gold, and there are 2 to 3 million of them. Makona minus for ED, Rakanga Chita Afana Vanema GD6. Afana, that's the youth constituency. Afana Urima Forge Kuguma Gunje. Afana Urida Mari Nezan Saga Trukuita Neta to win support Yavanadik. Nikuapa Mukana Ukupfuma. Nekuti zvavakapiwa tatakapiwa naMwari zvinokodzera kuti vapfume. Inga ndataura ndikati voters roll iripo. Unongoita dash hashtag oenda. Akuchina telephone directory riya rebhuku mazuva ano. Ukange zvinokana zita rako riri pavoters roll ungataura kunzi hauna namba yeecocash. Iwe ndichikuridzira uchidayira phone. Ndokutaura kuti hausi pavota, hausi patelephone register. You are not a registered subscriber. Hakuna pane namba yese yamuri kupiwa unzi cheka. Ipiwa
star 265 hash.
Look, digital. We're in the digital era. Don't expect a paper voters roll.